I have an update for you on a cold case out of Wilkinsburg, which is part of Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. For 27 years, they called her the Wilkinsburg Jane Doe, but now we finally know who she is. On June the 28th of 1999, skeletal remains were found inside a vacant home at 604 North Avenue in Wilkinsburg. The new owner, Christopher Nizer, had purchased the abandoned property and was doing some renovations on it. He discovered the remains just after 1 p.m., and they were covered with plywood, and they were at the bottom of the steps leading from the cellar to the backyard. Allegheny County Police Inspector Daniel Colazzi said that the remains included bones, tissues, and clothing, but this was early on, so they couldn't determine who the victim was, how they died, or even if the victim was a male or a female. The Allegheny County Medical Examiner's Office responded and started collecting evidence and began investigating. And they estimated the remains to have been outside somewhere between 6 and 8 months prior to being found. And they were later determined to belong to a black female who was 5'5" and was believed to be between the ages of 18 and 20 years old. But what they knew for sure was they were dealing with a homicide because the cause of death was ligature strangulation. Investigators continued working this case for years, trying to figure out who she was. The Allegheny County Police Department's homicide unit, the Wilkinsburg Police Department, and the Allegheny County Office of the Medical Examiner all remained heavily involved in the investigation. And they even tried submitting fingerprints to the FBI for identification, but no match was ever found. In 2024, the Allegheny County Medical Examiner's Office and the Allegheny County Police Department got a Commonwealth of Pennsylvania grant and partnered with Othram to use advanced DNA analysis on more than a dozen cases, and one of those cases included the Wilkinsburg Jane Doe. Othram scientists developed a DNA extract and used forensic-grade genome sequencing to build a comprehensive DNA profile. Then the forensic genetic genealogy team used that profile to develop investigative leads, which were returned to law enforcement. And those leads pointed investigators towards possible relatives. So this is what we've talked about before. When they do this genetic genealogy, it's not like it spits out one name and says Melissa Compton is guilty. They get a list of possible relatives, and some of those don't pan out, but they have to work every single one manually until hopefully they find one that does. And in this case, the medical examiner's office located a possible family member, and additional testing confirmed the identity of the Wilkinsburg Jane Doe. So after nearly 27 years, she was identified as Genelle Princess Bradford. Genelle Bradford was reported missing on April the 24th of 1999, about 2 months before her remains were found. Genelle's brother, Richard Bradford, remembers this vividly. He was in the 6th grade when his sister disappeared while walking home from school. He said the seriousness didn't set into the next morning when the family was frantic. They were calling people, calling the school, and finally the police got involved. And one of the questions he had is why it took so long to connect a missing teenager when a young woman's body was found in the same neighborhood, just a block away from the Bradford family home. And that is the same question that I have. I am not dogging the police or anything like that, and I understand technology was different. They didn't have the genetic genealogy we have today. I get that. But this is not that difficult to me, and maybe I'm missing something. Let me know. You have someone reported missing, a young black teenager reported missing on April the 24th. The remains of a young black teenager between 18 and 20 were found about a block away from the home where the teenager was reported missing, and you can't make that connection. That just seems like 1 and 1 is 2. Maybe there was a possibility, I guess, that they didn't think it was related, but I have to question, did they even try? Because that's just like a no-brainer to me. But again, maybe I'm overanalyzing it. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. But let me know in the comments what you think. Former Wilkinsburg lead investigator Doug U. House told WTAE he viewed the handling of the case as a law enforcement failure. Now, I will say this. We don't know every internal decision that was made back then, but the delay itself is only part of the story. What was documented? What was followed up on? What could they prove at the time? What could they not prove at the time? Why did the confirmation only come 27 years later when you have indisputable, undeniable DNA, forensic genetic genealogy proof that she was the same person? Because here is the problem that I have is if they do try to go back and do some more testing, and let's just say they do find DNA or something from a suspect, well, 27 years have passed. They could be deceased. They could have moved. Anything could have happened. So it's not, we see these cases solved all the time, but it does make it harder. And it's really sad to me that the family has had to live with this hanging over their head for 27 years when the facts, without the genetic genealogy in 1999, were sitting right there a block away. And I don't understand this. This is one of those, like I said, I'm not criticizing the police, but I think this does demand answers as to what was the breakdown and what happened so they can ensure it doesn't happen in the future. So I generally give a huge shout out and kudos to the original investigative team in these cases for how they collected and preserved the evidence. So they had no idea, number one, that DNA is going to be where it is now, and that what they did was preserved well enough for Othram to be able to pull a sample to at least allow her to be identified. So a huge thank you to them, because without their efforts, we would not be here. We know who she is, but that does not solve her homicide. Allegheny County Police Superintendent Christopher Kearns said investigators will continue following every lead available in hopes of getting answers for her family. If you have any information about Genelle Bradford's disappearance or death, please contact the Allegheny County Police tip line at 833-ALL-TIPS, and callers can remain anonymous. Any information that you have could be the key investigators need. I will be following this case closely and will bring you updates as they become available. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.